what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debates, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Hello and welcome to Global Morning. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and of course we're here to give you all the exciting, amazing things happening across Nigeria, the world, and tell you that we're here and to put smiles on your face and help you relax. I hope you're in church. If you're supposed to go to church, I hope you're in the mosque and praying as well and ensuring that your day is blessed. I am Anita Patrick, and I won't be doing this alone as I have my man close to me. When I see my man, people like, Aisha. I mean, my co-host with me, Investor Mukhtar says, good to have you join me.
It's a beautiful morning, Anita, and you're looking radiant as always. What's the beauty routine, please?
Please take me for lunch first.
I think I'll consider that because you're looking takeaway, like we like to say.
Please take me away right now. I think I need it.
Of course, we all need to unwind. It's the weekend. It's a beautiful Sunday, and we talked about excitement. I'm quite excited myself because the Super Eagles were able to do us proud and bring us the bronze, even though that's not what we wanted.
No, but
it's better than nothing, of course. So it's a good one. It's a good one. The president is back. Things have been happening in the country.
The year is starting up.
The year is starting up on a very positive note, if you ask me. So it's a lot of excitement, and I hope we bring that to our audience this beautiful morning.
Even to that excitement, are we looking at the fact that tax is also one thing that is on the front burner?
That's not really exciting, is it? That's not really exciting, is it?
That's another thing that we need to look at and see how Nigerians are really feeling, because a lot of stories around that.
A lot of misconception, especially because people have been saying this is how it works, but the people in charge of it have come out to say there are a lot of misinformations out there. This is how it is, because we hear that if you are paying for something, please write gift and all those things. So they said those things are just hoax. They're not real.
So we'll find out how that's going to play out. Well, that's it. We have lots of things. Let's tell you that we'll bring you the newspaper review segment, which will bring you stories making the front
on the dailies.
We'll also bring you our discussion segment, and that's one conversation you don't want to miss. Trust me, I'm telling you, because we have a discussant who will be joining us, and he will talk more on this and tell you what should be done differently, how should leadership in Nigeria look like, what 2027 should look like, because 2026 is like the bedrock, the foundation to all of that.
This is already a campaigning year.
Yes, it is.
People have said this is like that year where you'd see a lot of campaign activities ahead of 2027, and of course that conversation, I believe, would guide our audience in making informed decisions as to who should govern them, who should have their interest at heart. So it's one I believe they should keep their fingers crossed for and not want to miss.
I tell you, not something you want to miss. And of course, we always have our sports segment where we'll have discussion, and of course, what else to talk about if not AFCON and how the Super Eagles have actually soared so high for the first time in a long time. Super Eagles have given Nigerians reasons to smile, to celebrate. Homes were excited. We had joy all over the world. Every Nigerian across the world was excited to see the Super Eagles play there in Morocco. And finally, it wasn't what they wanted, but the 9th time bronze winner in AFCON.
No, I think nobody follows us to compete for that bronze. It's like our forte. Even though, of course, we don't want to be settling for third. We want to win the first place. But like we said earlier, it's better to come up with something nothing
than nothing. But the boys did amazingly well. So thumbs up to the Super Eagles. Well, that's part of what we'll discuss, and I'll have our guests join us from Morocco, and we'll talk about all of that. Well, before that, let's quickly go ahead and take a newspaper review segments. But after this time out, please stay with us. To have you back, let's quickly dive in because we have lots of papers and stories making the headlines. Let's tell you that we have Sunday Sun, we have Daily Independent, we have Sunday Telegraph, we also have the Sunday Tribune, we have the Nation, Sunday Vanguard, and Sunday Punch. Also, This Day newspaper, we also have that lineup for you. But let's quickly go with what we have for you. Quickly, let's start with Sunday Sun, right? Sunday Sun paper has its major story leading, and this is one story that I kept looking at it over and over. It says 260 escape death as Lagos outbound plane develops faults, makes air return en route Doha. That story is on page 25. That's a serious concern.
Of course, we always talk about aviation safety,
yes.
And this is a very good escape, and we hope that the condition that led to this would be solved so that we do not have to have issues of people escaping death in our aviation sector. So it's one that calls for concern.
That's
actually
quite a number, 260. That would
I
have
think
been
we should say
alarming.
a very big thank God for
I'm
this.
telling you, because that would have been a serious concern and worry to a lot of people. Let's move away from that.
Yes, just below the below the story, you see a story that says Tinubu should expose, arrest, prosecute sponsors of terror. And it has a rider that says Hayab, president of the Northern Khan, with another one that says FG must stop working with the United States till terrorists must keep working with the United States till terrorists are totally eliminated. And details of this story are on the pages 20 and 21 of the Sunday Sun newspaper. Okay, well, we have another story just above the masthead there that says AFCON 2025 Super Eagles prey on Egypt's Pharaohs, clinch bronze medal in Casablanca. Tinubu Hills players resilient. Well, we know that played out yesterday, and a lot of excitement happened there. That's on page 27. And just beside that, we have another story there away from the sports. Yes, a bit of business. It says Ojulari outlines NNPCL roadmap for 2026. Says firm poised to power Nigeria's growth, and details are on page 27.
Okay, so and that's it about business. We have other stories there, a bit of a concern as well. It says hoodlums murdered 35-year-old woman, 6 children in Kano. And then below that we have the writer that says Kano Emirates bans Western style DJ, and then we have performances at weddings, social gatherings. That's one story there as well.
Honestly, a sad one for an entire family to
just wiped out like that
off the face of the earth. It's not good. We hope the people who did this dastardly act would be brought to book.
Yes.
And away from that story, we see one story that's just next. It says Gani Adams reaffirms commitment to safeguarding Yoruba land, promoting culture. Details on page 25.
Well, that's one of the major stories that we've seen that's happening there with the Sunday Sun newspaper. Let's quickly go to our next paper for the day, and just next to that paper we have Sunday Telegraph. Sunday Telegraph newspaper there starts with the story just above the masthead. It talks about PDP and political parties drama. There you have PDP, we are working with other opposition parties, and there you have the rider there speaking. It says frustrated leaders move to revive dying party. That's on page 5.
PDP is now referred to as the dying party.
I'm telling
That's
you.
a crazy one. We hope the work they're working is one that would be working for all Nigerians, not for selfish interest. And just beside that story, you see a story that says 50 years after, as the kicker, General Murtala's grave in ruins, and that is General Williams' retired token. That's not a positive one. We hope they salvage that monument of a revered figure that General Murtala was.
Okay, so there we have it. Says below the mast says a weekend of tragedies. Housewife, 5 children slaughtered, infant thrown into a well, herdsman butcher farmer in Benue. That's not a good story at all. We hope that as the lot of concerns are being raised about the issue of insecurity, and this is not a good story at all.
Weekend of tragedy. We don't want to see weekends of tragedy in Nigeria.
Weekends of celebrations and all that. Success.
But let's move away from that and tell you a bit of business. It's the bold story here. It says FG budget 26.71 trillion naira for defense security in 12 years, and that's according to an investigation with a rider that says clocks trillion marks in 2016, 2017, 2018, and the next rider says allocate 5.41 trillion for 2026, all to make Nigeria a safer place. And we hope all this budget would yield a result, not just dishing money to the sector, but we need to see concrete results. Okay, so let's see. There we have it. Says Tinubu returns from Abu Dhabi trip. The rider says Shettima attends Guinea Conakry's presidential inauguration. That story is on page 3 there of that particular Sunday Telegraph newspaper. And yeah, just moving below that, you'd see a story that says Nigeria's used cars imports hits 1.71 trillion by third quarter of 2025. And the rider says US dominates with 41% import, local firms struggle. Another writer says figures expected to rise to 1.85 trillion, and this is according to experts. Okay, so that's it. Let's quickly move our focus to Sunday Tribune. Sunday Tribune newspaper has its own story there, and above the masthead, it starts with a same issue around the PDP internal crisis forces PDP to seek funding from members, plans 10,000 naira contribution per person. Oh yeah? Page 4. Details on page 4. I must have actually look at me like that. I think I'll reserve my comment at this point. Let's quickly move away from that and tell you the next story. Just next to that story says Emeka Anyaoku celebrating the master diplomat at 93. And just below that is a massive story. It's not a positive one. I watched basically all the dailies. It says horror in Kano, gunmen kill mother, has 6 children, with a writer that says community in shock, police launch investigation, gunmen kill man, 2 women injure 1 child in Plateau. Another rider, and details of all this story, which are not positive, on page 4 of the Sunday Tribune newspaper. Okay, let's quickly go below that and see the story. It says Makinde assures Ogbomoso zone of more projects and reaffirms commitment to inclusive development. That's what is on page 27. And just below that, we have Tinubu signs comprehensive economic partnership agreements with UAE, returns to Nigeria from Abu Dhabi trip. That's the story there. Yes, and then just beside that, we see an education story that says FG ASUA agreements fallout. FG to inject 30 billion naira stabilization funds for universities, with a rider that says to set up implementation committee. A second rider says stakeholders express doubt. And details of the story is on page 9 of the Sunday Tribune newspaper.
All right, so let's turn our focus to Sunday Independent newspaper. Sunday Independent newspaper has its own story away from that. We talked about that earlier. Above the masthead, it talks about why Nigerians are resisting the new tax laws. Experts and activists speaking, breaking it down for Nigerians to understand all of that. So pick up a copy of the paper and understand
details.
what the tax is really talking about. And below the masthead,
Yes, we see a story that says 60 years after first school hostilities yet to abate. And these are analysts talking with a writer that says, insists corruption, bad governance, injustice, ethnicity persist. With the second writer that says, there must be justice, equity, inclusion for true nationhood.
All right, so that's the much we can take about that. Let's look at quickly the story with the Sunday Vanguard. Sunday Vanguard says, let's start with the lead story. It says, Fubara, Wike meets peace panel. That's the story, and the writer that says, as Rivers lawmakers give conditions to halt impeachment, APC asks CJ to obey court order. Story on page 7. That's one story that has been over,
so long.
and that's
we just need to see a conclusion to this story, if you ask me. And then just below that story, you see a story that says, truce with bandits or time bomb. That's a question. And the writer says, Kano, other states will be in trouble if, that's Kofi Katina Elder speaking. You know, they've been saying, should we do truce or not to bandits and all of that. So the details are on page 9 and 10 of the Sunday Vanguard newspaper.
Well, a lot of stories making the rounds there, and so much more to talk about following that particular. But let's quickly turn our focus and tell you what's happening with The Nation. The Nation newspaper has those story, still talking a bit to the front, and that leads with the same story. Yeah.
Yes, new tax laws. That's the kicker. It says 9 states lead domestication drive with Bayelsa, that's the rider, Bayelsa, Anambra, Ekiti, Gombe, Kogi, Nasarawa, Plateau, Kwara, Zamfara ahead, 27 yet to act. And another writer says, Presidential Committee tax on board to protect payers' rights. We hope that happens.
So, well, that's the other stories. Also, I watched that paper. So let's quickly ask that you get a copy of the paper and find out that.
Above them, okay.
Yeah, other papers they've taken all the stories majorly.
Yes, we have.
Across other. But let's quickly turn our focus and look at Sunday Punch, which is leading with is also a different story here. It says Sunday Punch says 2027 Obasanjo shuns Atiku, drives Obi Kwankwaso's tickets against Tinubu. And the writer says ex-vice president not threatened by move, says aid. Then we have ADC leaders kick as Obi's camp pushes for zoning. That story is on page 3.
Yes, another story here. It says hospital left scissors in my wife's during surgery and called it will of God. That's a grieving husband, medical negligence. We hope that is tackled. And just above that, below that rather, we see gunmen kill policeman, abduct Chinese expatriates in Ogun State.
Well, so many stories, so pick up a copy and find out what's happening in the dailies. Especially with this particular paper, we see has a lot of side of stories around that. But let's quickly take our last paper for the day, which is This Day newspaper, and tell you what it says boldly there. Its major headline there speaks boldly, says Governor Yusuf's demand for automatic ticket delays defection to APC, and rather says Kano governor in his on his way to join APC at the right time, says ruling party. Well, all of those stories, I watched all the papers, so quickly get a copy of the paper and find out what's happening in the dailies. Like we've given you basic headlines and reasons for you to pick up the copy of this.
Of course, so if you want the juicy details and much more, just pick up this paper, like Annie said, and get the details basically.
Well, so that's it. Well, we've been talking about all stories which have made the headlines, and these are very strong stories. Some of a bit of concern, worry, and fear. You know, but
a lot of varieties basically
of it. So we hope that signs of insecurity that will be resolved, and those who are the criminals, if I call them that,
especially with the large chunk of money going to that particular sector, we hope to see results, real-time results.
I'm telling you. Well, that's it on this super review segment. Up next is our discussion segment. Please stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Hello and thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at what the weather has in store as we head into Sunday during this Harmattan season. Starting with the northern part of the country, a bit of good news here. We are expecting an improvement in horizontal visibility across most cities. However, if you are in the northwest, you may still notice slight dust haze in the air. Then across the central region, moderate dust haze will persist, with visibility reducing to about 2 to 5 kilometers, especially around parts of the Federal Capital Territory and Minna. Now turning our attention to the south, we expect a partly cloudy skies in the morning, But keep an eye on the skies later in the day, as there are slim chances of thunderstorms developing over parts of Edo, Oyo, Lagos, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, parts of Cross River and Akwa Ibom State. We anticipate an improvement in air quality. However, conditions will remain unhealthy in the northern and north central region, while the southern region is expected to experience air quality levels that are unhealthy for the sensitive groups. For our airline operators and aviation partners, a gentle reminder to always check for the latest weather updates via the NIMET eFlight folder portal. And that's our weather outlook for now. Stay safe, stay informed, and have a great Sunday ahead. I am Akemi Samarda.
Hello and welcome to discussion segments on Global Morning. I am Anita Patrick and I'm still here. And of course, like I told you, it's the discussion segments where we have a very important conversation to bring to front burner. Today's special edition, we are looking at discussing power shifts or power grab, the battle for Nigeria's political succession in 2027. Well, let's give you this breakdown before my guest will join me. He's joining me virtually. With less than 2 years to Nigeria's, or that's like less than 2 years, of course, to Nigeria's next general elections. Political chase processes are moving within parties, between parties, and also across regions. Today we ask, is this reshaping a genuine democratic evolution, or are powerful elites tightening their grip on power? Well, a lot of this is part of the questions Nigerians are asking, and a lot of concerns have been raised around this. Well, Nigeria's current political landscape has a whole lot of narrative, but let's set the stage. The All Progressives Congress still dominates at the center and increasingly consolidating power, including through defections from rival parties. Well, the People's Democratic Party also has a long Nigeria's main opposition, has remained the long Nigeria's main opposition party, but today, dealing with leadership strife and factional battles, all of that playing out on the scene right now in the political space, with APC leading as the ruling party, PDP, who has been known as for a long time to be the opposition party, also been faced with its own drama. Don't forget that also we have Labour Party, who is also on their own side, and others still seeking a breakthrough, asserting independence without formal coalition deals, all of that. Not to mention defections, realignments, and power brokers battling within states. All of this are part of the concern. So the question still remains, is it a power shift or a power grab? Let's discuss. But meanwhile, let me tell you that joining me right now is a distinguished voice on Nigeria's democratic process, who understands all of this, who talks about awareness, who creates awareness around all of this conversation. He is also the executive director of the Center for Citizens Awareness and Credible Leadership, in person of Gabriel Onwabu, who's joining me virtually all the way from Port Harcourt, if I'm not mistaken. It's good to have you join me, sir, on Global Morning.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for having me.
If you can hear me, it's good to have you join me, because there's a whole lot to talk about around this issue for Nigeria political space, because like I said, we have a few days, I call it days, no longer months, in the political space ahead of the 2027 general election. The question remains, we have a leadership concern, yes. Questions have been asked, is it a power shift or a power grab? So, Gabriel, let me speak to you. You understand all of this basically. In your view, what's happening right now, are the movements and realignments we're seeing a healthy recalibration for the Nigerians' democracy right now, or do they reflect a power grab by entrenched elite class, basically?
All right, thank you so much for having me. You see, the current political situation in the country, the alignments, realignments, power shifts, although the opposition, main opposition political parties in Nigeria, like the Labour Party, the PDP, have largely accused the ruling party, the APC, for infiltrating, the opposition, and then, in fact, the opposition political parties have actually accused the APC of, being responsible for the current turmoil in the opposition. They have said that the APC is coercing their governors, threatening them with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. They have largely said that all the problems they have, all the internal wranglings they have, including planting moles and sponsoring some persons to ensure that the party is disintegrated. But however, there is one thing that is basic. One thing that is clear and very fundamental is that the main opposition political parties are no longer strong enough, irrespective of where they lay their blames and all that. The ADC that is coming up are the same birds of same feather, who have been in the polity, who have been in the political space for a very long time, since the return of democracy in Nigeria in 1999. And Nigerians feel that it's still the same persons, it's still the same people, if they cannot, if they have been in the political space since the return of the Fourth Republic in 1999 till date, that there is nothing significant, there is nothing different. They also believe that it's the same people. Some persons also opine that it is only the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election that is somebody that has given a different life to the ADC. But be that as it may, a lot of governors have actually defected to the ruling APC. However, we actually believe that over time, that when the primaries roll out from, let's say, from May, then we still believe that a lot of politicians will be disenchanted. A lot of them who will not emerge will still go back to some of these opposition political parties and my prediction. So for now, we're still watching the alignment, realignment, and the power play as it unfolds in the Nigerian political landscape.
A whole lot, like you said, is happening around the realignment and alignment of all of that coming to play. But let's, like you said, the ruling party has really taken charge and is also looking at weighing into the storm for getting a better advantage for 2027. Well, we're seeing the large scale of defections, and for me, I'm looking at it, what does this really stand for the democratic competition? Because one thing that stands tall for any democratic nation is the ability to have oppositions and standing a ruling party, which makes it actually very engaging for citizens to make their choices. Because let's look at this, since 2015, when the People's Democratic Party lost power for the first time in 16 years. Following Nigeria's return to democracy in 1999, it has been widely recognized as the main opposition party. The recognition has stemmed from PDP holding far more elective offices, governorship, senatorial district, federal constituencies, and state constituencies rather than the opposition such as Labour Party and the likes. That's NNPP and the likes of them. But right now, we're seeing the narrative changing in terms of political office holding and all that recognition going to the All Progressive Congress, which is the ruling party. So what does this really mean for the democratic competition for Nigeria right now ahead of 2027?
Thank you so much once again. You see, when you come to the defections we have right now, it's like everybody is running into the All Progressive Congress. But Nigeria is a multi-dimensional country. It's multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multicultural. And I tell you one truth about it. A one-party state, that is a country with a one-party, cannot survive in Nigeria. It is not possible because, believe it or not, Nigeria have inclinations. They have sentiments. Most of them do their politics according to as it affects their cultural, religious, and ethnic background. That is the way it is. I mean, the person they see as the head, the person they see as the godfather, the leader of political space in such areas, will always tell them where to go, and most of them follow suit. So generally in Nigeria, you cannot, it's difficult to say that a one-party state will survive in Nigeria. I don't see the likelihood at all, because immediately after primaries, we are going to see a fallout. A lot of people will not be happy, especially those who have what it takes, to win election. They feel the masses are with them. They feel under a free and fair election that they are going to come out victorious. They will not just stay and stay in the political party where they feel maybe have just shortchanged them. So immediately after primaries, we're going to see another phase of realignment. We're going to see another spate of defections, people moving to other political parties that are there, just to contest and try the chances, the possibility of being elected again in the Nigerian leadership cadre, So let's still watch as these matters unfold. Yeah.
Because that's one going to raise with you, and you've just responded to that about the one-party system playing out a good role for Nigerians. So looking at our multi-dimensional landscape, which we have. But let's look at this. What's the impact of factionalization, which will come to play with opposition? Because just like we have seen the defection, factionalization will also play out, and realignment also come out, because we'll see people who will be unhappy after the primaries, just like you mentioned, because going into a party who has a structure, because you're defecting, the other persons who have been on the queue looking after that same position that one is actually coming in to take, or wanting to be anchored or taken into that position. How do you see these party structures going to affect them, especially those who are defecting? Because we've seen in the APC, we see both consolidation and internal negotiations as it backs the incumbency for 2027. So if the person is not standing out, who is just coming in, how would this play out, the party structure, favor those defecting right now? Because that's where my worry is, for those defecting to the ruling party.
Thank you so much. You see, one of the accusations, that has been generated by opposition political parties is that the ruling party is muscling. The ruling party is coercing their members to defection. In other words, the opposition political parties believe that, those joining the APC, as it were right now, are not joining it in good faith. They are joining it either as governors because they are afraid of the EFCC, or they are joining it because they will, be shortchanged in the scheme of things. When it comes to bear, they would want to belong to the same political families, and they are more likely to be favored, But one thing is clear: if you have a senatorial district, for instance, and there is going to be a primary election, and all the senators maybe that were previously in different political parties, let's say Labour, APGA, and NNPP, if they had all decamped and gone to the APC, once the primary is conducted for each senatorial district, it is only one candidate that is going to emerge out of all the aspirants. So these candidates that will emerge is the person that is going to bear, is going to be the flag bearer of that political party. So I still maintain that the tendency also is high, that these other people who have, tested power, who have contested elections, some of them are veterans in the political landscape of their area. They know how what it takes to win an election. They feel they are popular. They feel they are with the masses and all that, that some of them, irrespective of the level of coercion, would, that is assuming without conceding that the coercion and the muzzling is true, will still defect again and move to those opposition political parties so that they would have a platform to contest the election. So I think that more defections are coming. A lot of other people are likely going to leave the APC, and that's the fact. A lot of people that have jumped into the APC now would eventually be dissatisfied, and they would come back to some other opposition political parties just to have a platform to contest an election.
How there's a tendency for them going back to their parties because they know what it means to stay in power and hold on to all of that playing out. But with the PDP fast diminishing and becoming toxic for 2027 election candidates, there's a growing belief among observers that's a void for the position of the main opposition party. We've seen them have their back and forth, and we're looking at the implication for 2027 with this crisis they've had. We've had elected officials still in the PDP and nursing ambition for 2027. The party's deepening crisis is presenting a shaky and a starky calculation for them. So should I advise them to stay in order to still hold on to this, because we don't see a level playing field, just like we've been talking about so far in the last few minutes. It might work for them, it might not work for them because they're used to power. So in your own words, why do you see them doing the maths for them in terms of a hope for a miraculous reconciliation so that they still remain as the opposition party to have that contention ahead of 2027?
Now, if you watch what played out during the Yuletide, if you watch what played out in the Yuletide, a lot of politicians, visited their constituents. They went to their respective villages and they met with their constituents. A lot of them who were not doing constituency projects before now have done large volume of empowerment, buying all manner of empowerments, distributing foodstuffs and all that. That's a signal. It wasn't like that in 2024 Yuletide period, like 2024 December. But in 2025 December, they want to be firmly connected once again to their people. That could be a trick, but that is politicians for you. They are aware of the importance of the grassroots. They are aware of what their constituents could do, having been neglected over for some time, since election. So most of them have decided to go back to the grassroots and reconnect with their people. They try to say, "Oh, young man, you've not been calling me." He will tell you, "I've been calling, but you're not taking my calls." And he will say, "Just call me now. You see, that's the only number I have," and all that. Try to parley with them, try to be friendly once. Anyway, they are also aware that what the politicians do is that they come to the constituents, you support them, they win an election, they shut their gates with high security. You don't even come anywhere close. So the constituents over time have been, they feel shortchanged. They feel disappointed grossly, by the political elites, in Nigeria. It's only a few, very few politicians, in Nigeria that have maintained that circle of very, very cordial relationship with their constituents. Would want to, so they shut their doors completely. They don't even care about all that. But now that the election cycle is coming, they see the need of being so friendly and being playing a brotherly role and a sisterly role to their constituents. Meanwhile, they think the people are stupid, but the people are no fools. They know what they really want. But one thing you will not rule out is the level of poverty in the country. Because as we progress, Nigeria is becoming one of the poorest countries of the world. So the stomach infrastructure of a thing cannot be thrown overboard. Sometimes some scholars have actually opined that some persons in the political space have actually weaponized poverty. In other words, it is intentionally structured for the populace, the citizenry, to remain poor, so that at each point in time they come to you and give you a few cups of rice and all that. You, because of hunger, because of the level, the degree of hunger, you will be tempted to do their biddings. But I believe that it is not uhuru for them. Anything can also play out. And there is this serious internal dissatisfaction among the electorates, among the citizenry. The citizenry are grossly disappointed with the level of inflation, the level of high cost of living, high cost of petroleum products, how the income per capita of Nigeria is going. Now, in the semantics, in terms of the theoretical aspect of economic evaluation, you could say that the income per capita, the structural, the macroeconomics might be improving in the theoretical part of it. But go to the market, take an inventory, ask people how they feed, go directly, take samples and go directly to the people. You find out that what we work out, what we see, the mathematics that is rolled out by the Ministry of Finance, by the governor of the CBN, does not reflect to what is in the grassroots. There is a disconnect between the reality on ground and what we see that the World Bank and the IMF is always telling us. So I think these factors would seriously affect the outcome of the 2027 general elections as we go forward.
In terms of the defections, let's look at the states. We've had governors who have defected, and just like we've been talking so far, I'm looking at the concern of, just like you talked about the people, the constituents, the people who they lead or who they govern. We had the governor of Delta States move the whole structure of the states to the All Progressive Congress, and that his successor also did the same thing. Was among the defectors that moved in. Let's also look at these are the early defectors that came up early in the year that's last year. And also had the likes of senators in January of 2025. There we had the senator representing Delta State, Delta North, Ned Nwoko, also dumped the PDP for the APC. We also had Shehu Sani in February, the former Kaduna senator, and who's an activist, also dumped the PDP for the APC at that time. Then we also have 3 Kebbi senators. We have people just defecting, and just like you said, it feels like a pressure and all of that. But I'm looking at this, is this whole thing really making the PDP sliding towards irrelevance, or can it still re-emerge as a contender? Because we've seen the like of the ADC come into play, and the battle for this Nigeria's political succession is where the concern is looking. I'm looking at it for 2027. How will this stand for them in standing as the major contender? Do you see them being strong enough? I know you said there'll be realignment after primaries, but also have the smaller parties, the Labour Party, having its own internal crisis, the shakes here and there, the new Nigerian People's Party, the SDP. How influential are they in this battlefield to stand as a strong contender of an opposition ahead of this 2027 election we're looking forward to?
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, generally, politics is a game of number, and the manner at which virtually all, except I think the PDP is left with about, I don't know if they're up to 2 or 3 governors left or thereabouts, I don't know, has shown a consistent weakening. And in fact, the PDP even have, to make matters worse, have 2 factions right now. And the court is yet to do a final ruling for between the 2 factions, which one is to be recognized. Meanwhile, activities are going on, and the governors are fast leaving them, and all the representatives, almost all the representatives are gone. If you go to both the red and the green chambers, even the state assemblies, you find out that the PDP has lost a lot of ground, So, and there is no time. We are counting the days now, the number of days before the general elections that will come up by next year, early part of next year, first quarter of next year, really. So it becomes difficult, to really know if a party like the PDP is going to bounce back, knowing also that there is an emerging force like the ADC. The ADC is there. You have a lot of big wigs still coming in there, and you have the candidate of the former candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, which is you cannot treat with a wave of the hand, there. But where the crack would be is if the ADC, for instance, does not do the needful if they want to remain as a vibrant opposition. If they don't do the needful by ensuring that the most popular candidate emerges as the presidential candidate, then they're going to have a shocker of their life. That party called ADC will not even hold any ground. So, but if they succeed in ensuring that the elections are free, primary elections are free and fair, and the most popular candidate emerges, then there will be hope, in terms of giving the ruling party, a good fight, a good fight in the 2027 general elections. So moving forward, it is neither there, here or there. It's still too early to know how these opposition political parties will play out. But the events that are following up are already giving us insight on the likelihood of issues that might transpire, what might likely happen as a result of the activities, the current activities of the opposition political parties. So I think politics is still a game of number, and we still follow these issues as matters unfold.
what are the roles and responsibilities of citizens? Because you have you have that structure in terms of awareness and creating that for citizens. So what are the roles and responsibilities of citizens in shaping this political succession beyond just voting? Because citizens feels we just need to get to the poll and vote and then the right person emerges. But what other roles? What should they do differently so that we have a proper structure for Nigerians, or a continuation of democracy playing out for citizens in 2027 in terms of succession of politicians?
Yeah, you see, citizens, what, in fact, voter awareness in general should not be left in the hands of the Independent National Electoral Commission or a few civil society organizations like where I work, the Center for Credible Leadership and Citizens Awareness. You know, it should not be left in the hands of these CSOs and INEC. Voter awareness, you know, should be an integral part of even the political parties. People should be educated. People should know what, you know, elections are. People should know what their representatives, you know, are meant to do. People should know that their duty is to hold their representative to account. People should know that election is beyond the distribution of 10,000, 20,000, you know, or 5,000, as the case may be, for you to vote for any political party. That is not it. And Nigerians need to be informed. They have to be informed, especially those in the grassroots who believe that, okay, if it is the 10,000, they will better hold the 10,000 because they are aware that after the elections, they are not going to see these politicians anywhere. So for those in the grassroots, is what do you have for us now? Because they are already disappointed, but they need to be informed that selling or buying of votes, one, is a criminal matter and is punishable by law. Two, you don't sell your birthright. You take 5,000 or 10,000, as the case may be, and you suffer maladministration, you suffer misgovernance for the next 4 years, you know, and the person comes back again, having made you poorer, you know, to sprinkle another 5,000 again to go for another 4 years. If you look at it critically, you are the electorates are the ones, you know, that are losing completely. Why? Because of ignorance. In other words, I'm summing up by saying that our citizenry, our electorates, the people in the grassroots especially, who are largely illiterate, who are largely not well read, need to be aware that selling and buying of votes is not the way to go. It is not about that we do not want them to get their 5,000 or 10,000, but that the 5,000 and 10,000 is detrimental to their existence in the next 4 years, as the case may be.
Clear, because as we look forward or as we look ahead to 2027, a lot of questions are raised as to what scenarios should Nigerians brace up for, what markers will indicate a true democratic shift versus consolidation by a few, and all of that is the questions Nigerians need to be looking at. Thank you so much, Gabriel Nwabu, for coming through with us on this particular program. I really, really appreciate your time out with me speaking to this issue, and hoping that Nigerians will see the better way to build up capacity and stand. So it's a pleasure having you on the program, Global Morning. We look forward to more opportunities to have this kind of conversation because it's needed ahead of 2027.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning once again.
All right. Thank you so much. So we've seen the conversation so far. Power shift or power grab. Today's debate suggests Nigeria stands at a crossroad with institutional pressures, elite negotiations, and citizens' aspirations, all shaping the journey to 2027. Well, as political actors, maneuvers, Nigerians must ask not just who will lead, but how they lead and why that leadership matters. These are most of the major concerns that Nigerians, the electorate, just like Gabriel Nwabu stated there clearly, need to ask. What do you need to give to us now? It's not the fact that they don't want to take the gifts they give to you, but ask the pertinent questions as to who lead you so we understand this. If it's more of a power shift or people just grabbing power to themselves, we need to understand the battle for Nigeria's political succession and have a democratic run, smooth flow of leadership role, the dividends of democracy delivered to the people across boards. Like he mentioned, you saw during the Yale Tide where he said, see politicians visit their home front, the constituents, to see how they can renegotiate and realign. And also he talked about the realignments and all that, because that's going to speak more as the primaries play out. That's when the politicians who have tasted power, who understands what it means to be a state of affairs, see if they lose the election. Of course, there will be realignment and wants to find their balance to stay to that. Well, he's also said that it's not just about the continuous voters' awareness, people to understand the power they have to their vote. All of those is one of the essentials Nigerians need to pay attention to as we prepare our minds to get into 2027 and vote, bring up the persons who will lead us as a nation. Well, it's an amazing conversation. Like I said earlier, it wasn't one conversation or discussion segment you were supposed to miss. Thank you so much, our guest, Gabriel Nwabu, the Executive Director for Citizen Center for Awareness and Credible Elections. Thank you for all your word on us. It's still Global Morning on Global Television. Stay with us for more updates and more discussions coming up on this particular Global Morning. Please stay with us. We'll bring you all the lineup for the day.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.